It's a Friday, the last working day of the week, and it's my pleasure to serve you the news here on the AM show. My name is Paa Kwasi Schandorf. Joint news checks reveal that all three major groups of individual bondholders are joining forces to form a coalition to engage the government. Consequently, they are demanding a sit-down with the finance minister to negotiate what they call better terms or a complete exemption. Convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum, Senior Husi, says that the government is simply being insensitive.
It took us a long while for us to get people to even start the savings culture. No economy grows without building your savings. Solo growth model, it's basic economics. If you don't know it, go and read it. All right? You can't also do that without the productivity of your people. Your people are being productive. Your people are not learning how to turn around and bring in savings. And then you just wish it away. Pensioners are calling. It is good that Anani is here. All right? Our former sec boss. They are calling. People are just crying because they depend on this for their BP medication, for a lot of their medications. And they need that routine income. People have lost their jobs, like you just said. And it's not just about the banking crisis. Today, the economy is tough. Things are hard. Businesses are struggling. So we are laying people off. And you're coming to individuals who you have cut their hair. And now they are ahead. One, you increase taxes. What has happened to your income? Your disposable income has reduced. Two, now, a lot of your family friends are losing their jobs. Now they have to share their income with you because you have to send Momo here, send Momo here. What's your disposable income? Gone. Now you chop this one. You've brought in new taxes. You've chopped all this. And in addition, now you are saying that the one that I even saved to try and even pay my children's school fees, use this as the basis to sustain some part of my livelihood. That one too, you are digging your hand deep into it. And at the same time that you are doing it, you are living large. It's like somebody owing you and deciding to buy a Lamborghini and flaunt it in your face. You don't have the money. Cut your coat according to the size of your cloth. I was there the last time with what's his name, Joe Jackson, and went over this. And I told her it is coming. Because what we're having is not sustainable. But we don't have the humility, we don't have the sense of responsibility as policymakers to actually take the hard decisions that we vote you into power for. We vote you we queue to vote you and give you power for you to come and impact our lives constructively. We give you mandate, we give you our taxes. After that, you abuse it, you misuse it, you mismanage it, and you come back to us and say, pay more taxes. We pay the taxes, and after that, you come back and say, now, give me your savings. But still, I'm going to be riding my V8. I'm still going to be flying my business class. I'm still going to be keeping my SOEs are increased from 86 to 177 with very little to nothing to show for it. We have increased public sector compensation by 308%. So you want me to pay for that lifestyle that you want to have to fulfill your own political and whatever it is. But yet still, you now want to come and chop my savings, my investments that I just use to sustain my family. Master, why? Why do individuals and Ghanaians always have to be at the raw end of the misdealings of politicians? I think we've had enough. They always keep creating a mess, and when they create a mess, they come to ask for us to pay. And we've been doing it. You run down Tor, you come and say, let's pay debt recovery levy. You run down the energy sector, you come and say, let's pay energy sector levies act. You mismanage what you call the GET fund, and the next minute you say we should do dirty bonds, and we all have to pay for it. You keep messing up every time, and every time Ghanaians will always have to come and pay. Now we are paying with our taxes. You want us to pay with our savings? How insensitive can you be?
In a related development, former Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Edu Anani Entry, says you are better off not joining the debt exchange program.
It's an invitation to treat. That's what the government is making. It is we, the bondholders, who will make the offer to government for government to accept. So if you invite somebody to make an offer, the offer has not even been made. The offer will come from investors in government bonds to the government for government to accept or reject. If we don't make, even if the government was making the offer for you to do the exchange, and you don't accept the offer, you don't have a problem. You still have your old bond to keep.
But there's a deadline, so
that's what I'm saying. If there's
yesterday when we spoke to people who are afraid that if I don't sign on before, and the banks are deliberately calling to say, do it by this date,
Yes.
that something may happen to you post Monday.
Yes.
Is that fair? Is that fair founded?
Well, if you look at the document, it's like, I may not be able to pay you if you don't exchange. I may not be able to pay you. So the caveat is there. I may not be able to pay you. That's why I'm advising you to accept the new one. But nevertheless, if you decide not to pay, not to accept, you keep your old bond, and its covenant and terms will always be there. But if the time comes for the payment of the coupon, or the maturity period comes and the government has to give you back your money, the government has indicated that there is a likelihood that I will not be able to pay. And if I am not able to pay, going through the legal process to get the money will also be a challenge. That is the meaning of that aspect that the government has.
And explain this immunity thing. Can you really sue the government? Because you are the expert in this area.
You can sue, but you can get, if you have a good case, you win. Except that attaching, the government's assets is a problem. So if you have a case and you have won, and you are not able to get, if I'm an individual, you can just, if you see a car somewhere, you can just come and pick it up, But the government, the sovereign has that immunity. In the new issue, that is where they say they will lift that immunity.
To sue, so you can sue.
You can sue and get whatever. But there's still a clause which is not complete waiver of all 100% immunity waiver, no.
Turning attention away from that, now government has reached an agreement on the base pay for workers for this year from a high of 130% on the part of Labour and a low of 8% from the government. The parties have finally reached a compromise of 30% effective January 1. However, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says that the agreed percentage will put a strain on the purse of government.
In November 2022, the labor unions wrote to government requesting for 140% increase in their base pay for 2023. The unions cited mainly the increased cost of living as justification for their demand. After 2 meetings, Labour was willing to bend.
Government progressed to 18. We also progressed to 65.
We've never been difficult. We've been considerate for years, and many things have gone wrong. So I think that is the time to right the wrongs. The single pay salary structure is the most indecent structure in this very country. You will never take anything below the 60%. We are not representing ourselves. We are representing our constituents. And we have to go back and inform our members who sent us to negotiate for them.
For government, it was a frustrating process.
Unfortunately, we have had to table something anytime we have met. But Labour insists on a figure. So we are going back and we'll reconvene.
Tensions were brewing, with none willing to yield to the demands of the other. Both parties broke into caucuses several times to deliberate further. But after 10 meetings in 2 months, a deal was finally reached. Here is Labour Minister Ignatius Bafo-Iwa.
The base pay has been increased by 30% for the 2023 financial year. The effective date of this is 1st January 2023. And as I said, this brings to an end the 2022 COLA of 15% of base pay salary.
But Ignatius Bafo-Iwa urged the workforce to increase their productivity.
What we also require of workers is also to increase their productivity and also work to justify this reward which is also coming to them. We are going to work together to ensure that our output at the workplace also increases. And we are charging Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to lead that course of monitoring what we do at the workplace and also coming out with measures to help us to be able to increase our productivity.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says agreeing to increase the base pay will take a toll on the finances of the country.
This is going to take a toll on the budget, but I'm confident that with enhanced productivity and the commitments that we both have given to each other to make sure that there is peace in this country as we look at pensions issues, labor issues, I think we've come to a satisfying conclusion. And I really would like to thank all of you for your commitment to that. Fiscal implications, of course, we'll have to work with that, but really the issue of a peaceful environment for us to work is something that we treasure, and we really applaud you for that going forward.
Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress TUC, Dr. Yao Ba, spoke on behalf of the labor unions.
This has been a very, very difficult negotiation. And we are happy that it has ended today. It's important that we speak the same language. And I'm sure the 30%, even though it is not what ideally we want, will create that opportunity for us to speak one language and work together to make sure our country recovers to where we were before the COVID hit us.
Both parties agreed that the 15% cost of living allowance should be discontinued. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
We'll have more reactions on this later on the AM show. Now, away from the labor-related discourse, President Akufo-Addo says that the death of Cardinal Kyabawob has created a void not only in the Catholic Church but the country at large. The Wa Catholic bishop was appointed cardinal in May 2022 by Pope Francis and took ill in Rome when he went for the consecration. He died in November last year. Rafiq Salam was at the Requiem Mass, and here is his report.
Bishop made history in his life, but and now somebody can also say one day in death. For the first time in the 94-year history of the Wa Catholic Diocese, it is holding a funeral service for its sitting bishop. He is the first sitting bishop and cardinal to be buried at the St. Andrew's Cathedral. His predecessor, Bishop Emeritus Dr. Paul Bemile, is on retirement and still alive. Two other bishops, Cardinal Porokudere and Archbishop Emeritus Piambaya, were transferred out of the diocese before their deaths. The service began yesterday at the St. Andrew's Cathedral before the remains was rolled out to the World Sports Stadium in a black limousine with the inscription, His Eminence, boldly embossed in front. The body of the four bishops of the World Diocese lie in repose throughout the night ahead of the funeral today for the clergy and locals to pay their last respect. In attendance was President Akufo-Addo and some top government ministers, bishops from the country and beyond, Supreme Court Judge Justice Emmanuel Yoni Kulendi, and beautified with a royal touch from Paramount, divisional and sub-chiefs from the region. Under the scorching Harmattan sun, political elite came together and united under one canopy. The Requiem Mass was presided over by Chancellor of the Pontifical Academies of Sciences and the only person alive in the country and in the Catholic Church, arguably, could share honors with him as a cardinal. Cardinal Peter Pierre Texan
called this day to journey to you, and since he hoped and believed in you, grant that he may be led to our true homeland, to delight in its everlasting joy. And we ask you this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord and God.
Superior General of Missionaries of Africa, Very Reverend Father Stanley Lumbago, has some kind words for the departed cardinal.
But we still give thanks to God for giving us a cardinal and a president forsaken. Not because of what he would have offered, but because of what we already know he had offered to us, and which he lives as an example of Christian life. Richard was hardworking, a hardworking shepherd who was very attentive to the downcast. He had a positive attitude in life, and I never heard him complain. I stand as one of the privileged who was visiting him when he was sick in Rome, and I never heard him complain.
President Akufo-Addo stated that the death of Cardinal Richard Kunyeba leaves a big void in the country, which he has lots of regrets for.
It is a matter of deep regret to me. It is a matter of deep regret for our country. And it is a matter of deep regret for the church. Because I have no doubt that coming back to Ghana as a cardinal, he would have contributed immensely to the evangelical mission to which the church is committed. He leaves a big void, not only in the Catholic Church, but also in Ghana. And he richly deserves the honor that is being accorded him by this high-profile funeral in recognition of his social and spiritual services to the growth of WA and of Mother Ghana. He will be greatly missed.
Cardinal Richard Kunyeba was 63 and was laid to rest inside the St. Andrew's Cathedral. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
May the soul of the departed rest in peace. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor says that it is ready to demonstrate why it should be allowed to prosecute former Secretary of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissiou. This is in reaction to an accusation by lawyers for Charles Bissiou that the OSP is deploying tricks to delay court processes. Mr. Bissiou, who was filmed in an investigative documentary allegedly receiving bribes, is currently in court seeking to stop the special prosecutor from prosecuting him. He contends that he was exonerated by the police earlier and therefore he cannot be investigated again. Court correspondent Joseph Akable reports.
Lawyers for the Office of Special Prosecutor have filed documents indicating a conditional appearance. Now, this means that they have some protests that they intend to register about the process that have been filed by lawyers for Charles Bissiou, and that they did indicate to the court that they will be making arguments urging the courts to dismiss this particular matter because of the concerns that they have. There was also the presence of a lawyer who represented Tiger Eye Private Investigation, the firm that carried out the investigations, as well as lawyers for the journalist Anas Arimi Anas. Now, those two entities have also indicated that they've not been served with the documents that have been filed, and so the court did indicate that it's going to adjourn the matter for all those documents to be filed. But lawyers for Mr. Bissiou, led by Nanaje Bafuewa, had some concerns, and that was to the effect that they were hoping that the process that have been filed by the special prosecutor specifically were not a case of playing tricks or engaging in some malice of sorts, all geared at delaying the process that had been filed, specifically the injunction, the one asking the courts to restrain the special prosecutor from investigating and prosecuting Charles Bissiou. And so the court did indicate, and two comments from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, where the legal practitioner did indicate that they will argue forcefully and lead evidence where relevant to show that this is a matter that should be dismissed and that the special prosecutor should be allowed to carry out its investigation and prosecution of Charles Bissiou. The matter is back in court on February 6, 2023. For Joy News from the Law Courts Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
That's a wrap on the news. For more, log on to www.myjoyonline.com. My name is Paa Kwasi Schandorf. Thanks for your company. The show continues. Don't go anywhere.